Some days are easy. Some days you arrive at your campground, can barely make the turn, and then you can't even get into your site and you have to find a new place to go. It's only happened once, but it's bound to happen. We are at a harvest host in Florida. We found this great little place after the campground situation didn't work out, so we decided to boondock for a couple of days. Who's here? Who's visiting?
What's it?
This is our creative house, and this is our journey to finding a simpler life of freedom. We're calling this our test round because in about 2 to 3 weeks, we are going to be down in Everglades National Park, and we are staying in the National Park campground. We wanted to visit the Everglades. We have an RV park that we're going to be in Miami for a little bit. But we're like, let's just do it. Let's just go to the Everglades. Let's stay there. We looked at the average temperature for February and it said around the 70s. So we're like, that's fine because we have to be hooked up to a generator or some sort of power supply in order to run our ACs. So if it's going to be too hot, then we can't just open the windows. And so that was our biggest concern. But looking at the weather recently, it's been like in the 80s and 90s down in the Everglades. So now we're getting a little bit nervous, but it's just going to be what it's going to be. We'll probably run the ACs and the generator for as long as we can during the day. I know the nights don't really cool off, but we do have some battery operated fans, and we can also run one fan with an inverted outlet. And so we're just going to kind of muscle our way through it and see how we do. But I think that's for 3 or 4 nights. So that'll definitely be a little bit more of a prolonged boondocking experience versus just the 1 or 2 nighters that we're used to right now.
I took out the factory lead acid batteries and put these 2 lithium batteries in because they are more capacity, less space, and the voltage stays at or above 12 until they die. Versus lead acid, the voltage constantly drops. So you have issues with not being able to move your slides in and out or run your furnace. You might be able to turn lights on, but you wouldn't be able to run slides and stuff like that. So
Still enjoying being informed here.
So we have the blue box on the top left is Keystone put that in. That's their solar charge controller from Victron, which has an app that connects over Bluetooth. So there's a 200 watt panel on the roof. Okay, so we have the 200 watt panel on the roof, and then we have this briefcase set up from Renogy. It's 200 watts, comes with a solar charge controller. There's a couple of connections. It comes with alligator clips, so you can go right on a battery, or the SAE connection. So it's 200 watts, and I think it was $300 on sale. Normal price, I think it's like $350 or something like that. Over here, there's a ZAMP solar connection point in there. Keystone partnered with ZAMP, and basically all it is an SAE connection, but it's backwards. So they say you have to buy ZAMP products to plug into it, but you just buy a part that reverses the connection, flips your positive and negative, and then you can plug whatever you want in there. So that Renogy thing is a lot cheaper than the ZAMP products are, and probably works just as good, if not better.
All right, so we have 5 different inverted outlets, and we have not converted any of our outlets. That is just what the fifth wheel was made with. So we have 2 up at the TV. This is our Starlink that we're not currently using. Then we have 1 here. We have 1 behind our recliner up in the living room, and then we have 1 in our back bedroom for the TV back there. So none of our inverted outlets are in the kitchen area, which is intentional because all of our appliances would pull far too much power when we just have our batteries. So essentially, when we are cooking, it is this propane. It's the stove, it's the oven, and the black stone outside, so it really works well. I mean, we simplify our meals a little bit. I love my Instant Pot. I love my my Ninja Foodie oven. All of that's awesome. But if I have to, I can absolutely use the stove and the oven just fine, and the black stone outside. So that's what we do. This is what boondocking is. Hand grinding our coffee instead of plugging in our automatic grinder, right?
I mean, yeah, I could technically plug it in, but if I don't have to use the power, I'll just...
Right. It's all about conserving the power. So obviously, apart from power, our other concerns are water, and then our holding tanks, which holds our gray water and our black water. And basically our sensors on these tanks are all goobered up, so it's really hard to tell from what the RV is telling us about how full they are. So really we've just learned through experience how long we can last, how many days before we have to dump. Right now we can probably go, I want to say around 3 to 4 days, I would say, if we take showers and, you know, use the sink routinely, the sinks routinely. So that's about how many days we can go with the gray water. And then as far as the black water, we can go just over a week is what we've found. Black is a 40-gallon tank, and then we have 2 gray water tanks, 40 gallons each, and then an 80-gallon freshwater tank. You know, we learned to conserve water just like you would anytime you're trying to conserve water, you know. Sometimes we go a little bit more extreme, so like showers are very quick and you turn off the water in between, you know, shaving your legs and washing your body and all that kind of stuff. And then we don't drink the water, so we will buy like gallons of drinking water and things like that, so we don't rely on our fridge and any of the water in the freshwater tank. And as long as we're boondocking in between RV parks where we'll have full hookups at the parks, then we don't even really need to worry about dumping. All right, we made it our 3 days of boondocking with like 20% left of our battery. No problem. No problem. This is by far the most fun part of boondocking, the road in and out. Of them. Now we are heading to Everglades National Park, and we're essentially boondocking. We're going to be in a designated campground, which is great. We have no power, no sewer, no water. And it's like 85 degrees out and humid, so this should be fun. So glad I'm getting all this video of you in your tank top.
Yeah, thanks.
That farmer stand. That farmer stand. Maybe you should wear tank tops more often.
I have a tank top, and every time I wear it, you're like, oh, you're that girl's thing?
So we're in a site for a 45-foot RV. However, I do not see how a 45-foot RV fits. Ours is 41 feet, and we are maxed out. We're not allowed to park on the grass, so we made sure Totally off the grass. Backed it up as much as we could. And then this is what our slide looks like on this side. Not terrible. Not ideal to be hanging out in the road this much, but not terrible. Unlike our last boondocking location, we can't really use solar. We can-ish, but there's trees everywhere. So, our alternative method of charging up is the generator. So I feel like I should note that our generator sounds a little odd. It like pulsates, and so there's something that is wrong with it. It gets the job done still. Everglades, and we're out exploring. Got the dogs with us. Not ideal. We've known this about national parks. We know for the most part dogs cannot go on trails because of all of the wildlife, and I totally understand it. We just usually make sure that we have hookups so that we can leave the dogs back at the RV and just monitor the temperature from afar. And yeah, just in this case, we stayed at a campground where it's dry camping, so we just can't leave them behind. So we're just doing what we can do, and we figure we're only here for a couple of nights, and so it is what it is. Kids and husband are on the trail right now, and then we'll kind of just trade off. So they'll come back, and then they'll babysit the dogs at the truck, walk them around. It's actually nice enough out right now, especially in the shade, just to walk the dogs around. And then when they get back, we'll just trade off. So that's what we're doing. As far as we're going, dogs. Sorry. Made it dry camping one more time for 2 nights, and we stayed most of the day to this time. Checkout was at 10 a.m. so we went ahead and paid for an extra night so we could just take our time, get work done in the morning, and then leave. We actually went over to the trail. We were able to run the AC briefly this morning, and it was cool enough that we could pop over to the trail for 45 minutes, not even half an hour, to see some more alligators and birds and wildlife. And then we came back here, got work done all morning, nap done, everything done, ran out of fuel with our generator, and sat kind of hot and uncomfortable for a couple hours, maybe not even, just over an hour. And now we are packing up and heading to our spot in Miami, which is just 45 minutes away, so it works out perfectly. One final dog dump. This always happens where we are all packed up, we've already taken all of the dog poop to the dumpster, and then one of them drops one. So I thought I was missing something. Still put the stairs up. I apparently forgot to put the slide in. So I guess there's a first for everything. We wouldn't have gotten far though. I would have noticed. We would have noticed that. And of course, as every good boondocking experience ends, a dump begins. Good job, babe.